Hello everybody, Terrence Pop here with another episode of Live from the Lair. Okay, so where did we leave off last? Yeah, we were doing the pistol submachine gun ranges. And let's see, I believe we did the pistols, submachine guns, and rifles in basically 1 week. And then we did the machine guns the next week. And that's where the guy got shot in the elbow, and that was pretty bad. And then we fired the 50 and the Dishka on the machine gun ranges also. Like I said, with the Dishka machine gun, it's, you know, that thing is just a piece of steel with a metal brick that bashes back and forth and throws off an insane amount of energy and fire out the front of the goddamn weapon. And the 50 worked out pretty good. Let's see, we finished up that, and I'm trying to remember, like, it literally took us almost a day to clear the 3 ranges that we were using because of all of the brass that we had fucking fired. And this was back in the day before, you know, the ASP and range control was, like, you know, super retarded. They were only partially retarded back then. You know, they didn't want 1 for 1. I think they were accepting, they would accept the brass back by weight, and you were allowed to be off by like 20% or some shit. But still, I mean, we had to clean all that shit up, and you know, it is what it is. So I remember we went back for the weekend. We went, you know, back to the barracks, and that was actually a pretty good fucking weekend because we all fucking partied our asses off. And I think it was, we stayed in the barracks basically Friday night, and we just drank and had pizza and shit and chilled out. But Saturday, you know, Saturday night, we all went out to one of the bars that's off post, off Bragg. I don't even know if it still exists. But, you know, it was just typical meat market thing that's, you know, that went on there. You know, it is what it is. You know, I'm not a nice guy, and, you know, it is what it is. You know, when I was younger, you know, before the big head overpowered the little head, I was quite the big fan of pussy. I mean, what can I say? I'm a straight dude. That's the way it is. And I got basically it was a weird story, because I was hitting on this one chick, and it was going great. I mean, I had it pretty much all locked in, but her friend, who was actually pretty fucking hot, I don't know what her fucking problem was, but she was just a raging fucking bitch. And she was like, just you know, swearing at all my friends in my class. You know, and they wanted me to get, you know, to get laid, so they're all like, oh yeah, it's okay, you know, they're trying to be all nice, you know, trying to smooth it over. But you know, I don't know, it's just fucking crazy ass bitch. And then the guy who liked to, you know, civilian skydive, he, you know, had some liquor in him, and he was, you know, I didn't know this at the time, but he was like a closet, like, woman hater. So, you know, she starts going off at the mouth, and he just, like, comes right back, you know, when he, you know, because he was, like, way at the other end of the bar doing something, and like, she started running her fucking mouth, and he comes running over there, like, what the fuck yeah. He, like, got right in their shit. So, like, we pull them apart. You know, obviously, it's not going to happen for me, so I'm like, okay. So, you know, they're winding down at the end of the night, and I thought the whole thing had, like, calmed down. So, you know, we walk around, you know, outside the bar, and we're parked out to the far right, way at the end of the parking lot, because we got there kind of late, and the parking lot was full. Well, as soon as we leave, this fucking bitch tells the bouncers that some guy, that we had fucking punched her and did all this fucked up shit to her, and she was afraid to say anything because we were all in there. And there was like 18 of us. And I don't know what fucking happened, but, you know, I'm a little tipsy, and I turn around, and there's like 30 fucking dudes, like white knighting, you know, just running our way, you know. I'm like, what the fuck? So, you know, in the parking lot, we fucking threw down against these dudes and basically fucking train wrecked these guys. And I was, you know, in the Q course. I had all that, you know, I did all that, you know, martial art training when I was at Fort Lewis. And, you know, a lot of people don't realize when you're a trained fighter and you're hitting people who are not trained, it's like fighting a baby. I mean, I can remember just, you know, that slap of meat on meat, you know, like, boom! The dudes are going down left and right. You know, I took a couple shots. I think I had a cut over my eye. I probably had a broken nose, but fuck it. We did like a fighting withdrawal to our fucking cars. And we like literally roll out of there in a caravan, and the dudes are laying on the ground and shit. You know, I'm sure some of those guys were probably in the 82nd, I don't know, you know, but the bouncers, the funny thing that, you know, they basically organized the whole thing, and all of the guys ran around the corner, but the bouncers, like I remember these 3 huge bouncers didn't join the fray. They kind of stayed back by the front door, and I don't know if they were, you know, scared of us, or if it was a legal thing, or they didn't want to get fired. I don't know, but they didn't come out to fight. That was like one of the high points of the class, because, you know, we had some divisions within the, you know, the ranks within the actual class. But after we had that huge fucking knockdown, drag out brawl, you know, fuck, dude, we were like, everyone just like gelled together. So we lick our wounds on Sunday, and I remember the head tack comes in, as Staff Sergeant, Sergeant First Class Carroll, because he heard about it, and he was just like, you know, what's going on? What happened? And we told him the deal, and he's like, fuck those guys. You stab anybody? I'm like, I didn't stab anybody. Did we stab anybody? Nobody got stabbed? Nobody got hit with a bottle? Just a fist fight? We're like, yeah, that's pretty much. He goes, fuck them, it's okay, don't worry about it. So we didn't hear anything more about it. So apparently we got a pass on that one, because apparently some of the guys that, you know, got punched were fucked up pretty good. But, you know, hey, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You know, and I should have learned my lesson way back then when I saw that shit happen, that, you know, women have no fucking problem sacrificing you for them. You gotta remember that, gentlemen. They will fucking feed you to the wolves in a heart fucking beat, and they will do it for, I don't know, for nickels on the dollar. I mean, they don't give 2 shits about you. You are in their mind, and I think this is at an instinct level. You know, they know that we're fucking disposable, and they treat us as such. You know, and, you know, I mean, hindsight's 20/20, but that lesson that I learned on that night didn't really sink in until after I got divorced, and I saw some of the crazy shit go on. That Monday, we prep, we roll out to the range, set up, and we're at a different range this time, because we're doing mortars, we're doing anti-tank missiles, and they did bring out the Dishka again because we had extra ammo and we needed to burn it up. And what else did we do? Oh, we did an improvised explosives course, and that was like a day and a half, and that was fucking awesome. You know, because again, we got whatever the fuck we wanted. You know, we did AMPHO, we mixed it up with nitromethane. That's the shit they use in fucking, yeah, Formula whatever cars, or in the model cars, whatever. You can buy like small amounts of it at the hobby store, and, you know, we fucked up all kinds of shit. We used the TNT, and the TNT we were using was like from the fucking late 40s. We're like, whoa. I thought the shit had to be destroyed after a certain amount of time, but apparently, I don't know, fuck it, you know. And we blew up engine blocks, and we shattered, you know, railroad tracks. We blew up on railroad ties. You know, back in the area, you know, we blew the top off of a tank with some of the C4 and TNT. Let's see what else we did. We made some of those sticky bombs with socks and whatever, stuck them on tanks. And, you know, it was really cool. And one of the cooler things is, and it's just so simple, and it, you know, I'd seen it done, but how they did it, you know, at the Q course was amazing. Is they took a spool of just barbed wire, right, and they just pack it with C4, and then they had wrapped, you know, because we've done this before, but they had wrapped the barbed wire with the det cord, and the way it was set up, that the det cord would go off first, and then a fraction of an instant later, then, you know, the C4 would go off. And, you know, because we did it both ways, but the way they did it with the C4, and I wish I could find the notes, but the det cord basically cut the barbed wire into pieces about this long, and then the internal explosion just fucking threw that shit everywhere, and it was like 40% more efficient than just sticking, you know, the explosives in the middle of the barbed wire. I was like, holy fuck. And that shit was coming out with some force, because, you know, there were lengths of this barbed wire stuck long ways into fucking car parts, you know, and through the side of fucking vehicles and stuff. I mean, that would just shred you. It was cool. It was a little bit scary and creepy at the same time, because, you know, you look at the way they would do things, and you know, you would see it in the manual, and then the guy, this old crusty guy, he was from Vietnam. He was like their residential expert. He was obviously a civilian contractor, and they would bring him in to teach, you know, this particular portion. And he'd look at it, he goes, oh yeah, well, you can do it that way, but this way is better. And then this guy was just a fucking genius. I mean, this guy basically probably wrote the anarchist cookbook, you know, not the fucked up way, but the way it's supposed to be. It was fucking amazing. We had, you know, the RPGs. There was 3 different types of RPGs. They had a real old one that was basically from like the Vietnam era, which had a very limited range. It was not accurate for shit. And we had a fairly decent amount of missiles, and we actually fired an assload of the RPGs, and we had competitions side by side with the RPG and the Law Rocket. And then we did it with the 90 Recoilless, because we had a bunch of those old rounds also, because they were, you know, they were bringing in the Carl Gustav, which we did have on the range, but that had limited ammo. But we had so much of the fucking 90 millimeter recoilless rifle ammo, it was insane. That Law Rocket was actually, you know, it's about 150, 200 meters, pretty fucking accurate. You know, once you get the hang of it, because there's a trick to it, you know, like the first few times I fucked it up. And, you know, before, because we had tried to use it's like a sub-caliber missile. It's not the, you know, big missile that you usually get in the Law Rocket's actually smaller, and it's like practice. And we fired some of those, and those things sucked. And they're nothing like the real Law. I don't even know why they even fucking use those things. At, you know, 150, 200 meters, you know, we were fucking shit up. You know, you could put 3 or 4 missiles into a shot group the size of, you know, a door, you know, a car door, which is not bad. We fired against the RPG with the 90 recoilless rifle, and I don't know why they got rid of that thing, because that thing is fucking accurate as fuck. Okay, you bore sight that thing properly, you can draw pictures with that thing. Because the RPG, you know, it had a fancy sight with all the reticles and bells and whistles and shit, but it couldn't keep up. The recoilless rifle was fucking it up. I mean, it was out shooting it. You know, granted, you get a different. You have more different types of missiles with the RPG than you do with the 90. I think we had loom rounds of the 90, but we only had a few of those. And we had the HE and the armor piercing, and they didn't have any of the. We had a few of the basically it's like a beehive round. It just shoots a bunch of these flechettes. It's fucking wicked. That was fucking, you know, good to see. It's like a shoulder-fired claymore, and like people will get nailed to trees and stuff. And they're like these super hard steel fucking darts, and they're sharp as fuck, and they have like fins on the back, but they're only about 1.5 inches long. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but those things are pretty sweet. And you know, because you hear a bunch of hype about the RPGs, and yeah, I'm sure if you get hit with it, if it goes off by you, it's just like any other thing, it's gonna fuck you up. But it really, you know, it didn't live up to the hype. I mean, sure, it was scary, it's armor piercing, you know, it was fairly accurate, but not as accurate as you would think. And, you know, later on when I was in Iraq in 2004, you know, we had those fired at us, and they, you know, I was fortunate that they really weren't that accurate, because we would have had some people get fucked up pretty bad. Let's see, we fired, they were just bringing the Javelin online, but we didn't really have a lot of those missiles. There was like 4 of them. There was basically demonstrations. We had the 106 recoilless rifle, and there's a funny story with this one too, because you're gonna love this. This is fucking great. You know, we set it up, and the thing is like stupid long. It takes like 6 people to fucking get it all going and everything like that. The fucking rounds are this fucking big, you know, and it's got like this 50 caliber spotting round that you set off. It's like a tracer round, and you basically fire the tracer round, and it goes to where the missile will be, and then you fire the missile right behind it. I remember they were firing it at this, like, it was like a 60-something Chevy truck, and it had been hit earlier, and the hood had like flipped back, and it made like a ramp. We didn't acknowledge it was a ramp until one of the missiles went downrange, because it was only maybe 300 or 400 meters away, and one of these 106 recoilless fucking missiles hits this ramp, and it is fucking gone. And it doesn't have like that maximum arming where it goes to a certain distance and then it automatically explodes. No, it fucking, it's just like, it I don't know, it hung for like 30 seconds. We're like, holy fuck, where is it? And then way off in the distance, you see this, and you see like this smoke cloud. You're like, oh fuck. So they had to call it in and tell range control that we had a round go off the fucking range, you know. So we got to check fire, and it was about, you know, just about lunch anyway. So we just said, fuck it, we're eating. It took them like over an hour to go out there and make sure, you know, nobody was hurt and blah blah blah. And it was, you know, it was outside the range fans, so they had to do like this little quick investigation and a write up, and then got a sworn statement from you know, Sergeant First Class Becker, who was running the fucking thing, and he used the same excuse twice. It was like literally back to back. He's just like, I don't know what happened. It was 1 in a million. So, you know, we're like, okay, we get done with lunch. It's like 2:00. You know, we keep firing. About 3:00, this huge wrecker shows up pulling this school bus. And, you know, the guy gets out, tells Sergeant Becker, it's like, hey, you know, we need you to check fire. We're going to take this bus, and we're going to put it off on the side of the range. We don't want you guys to shoot it because, you know, we got a general coming, and he wants to see the Javelin, you know, demonstration. And Becker's like, oh, yeah. Our Sergeant Major comes out and says, all right, Becker, just keep everyone firing on this side. Everything will be great. Just, you know, they're going to come later on today, like 1600, and they're going to shoot that bus, and they want to see, you know, weapon effects. I remember Becker's like, yeah, not a problem, Sergeant Major. It's all good, yeah, not a problem. And we're all standing there. They drive off. You know, literally like 5 minutes later, Sergeant Becker turns around, spin up, shoot the bus. We're all like, yeah, okay. Boom. And like that first round, like, it just hits the bus, blows out all the windows. You know, the door flies off the back, catches on fire. I mean, it was glorious. You can see the liquefied vinyl on fire just shooting out the back, and it's just going crazy. Like, a little over an hour later, the sergeant major comes back. Sergeant Becker, you weren't supposed to shoot the bus. He turns right to sergeant major. He's just like, I know what happened. It was like 1 in a million. We're all trying not to fucking laugh. Like, so, you know, we finish up that week at the range. And the last day we fired off, you know, we did some fire missions with the 81 millimeter and the 60 millimeter mortars, which was pretty cool. And then we broke into fire teams and we set the thing up, and then we had to do the bracketing fire and all that, set the stakes and all that shit. And apparently, I didn't know this, but you can actually fire the 60 millimeter mortar from like the sling position with the, you know, apparently you can either put the base plate on your thigh or just let it hang off. And luckily, the guy who did this didn't put it on his leg because it would have broke his fucking leg. And you can't shoot more than just one cheese charge on the round. So he's holding on to it, and we're all like taking bets, like, will he stand his feet? I'm like, nope. That's exactly what happened. They drop it in there, boom! It like literally like flies back. He starts spinning. It comes back around, smashes him in the head. Then he falls on his face, and it's like he's laying there. And when he hit the bar, it's like hitting the ground, then bouncing up, and like hitting him in the head like 5 or 6 times, like bing, 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 bing. He like lumps, and I think he had to get a stitch. And we were just laughing our fucking balls off. What an idiot. That brings back some good times there. Good fucking times. All right, I think we're gonna call it quits here because we're already like at 22, 23 fucking minutes. But we're gonna continue on with this, and they do the intel portion at the back end, and we prepare for Robin Sage and do the Robin Sage mission, which I got a whole bunch of funny ass stories on that one. All right, gentlemen, you have a good evening.